Hey, how y'all doing out there today? Today we're going to do a quick product review on a Kobalt knife that I picked up from Lowe's probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Now this particular blade, it was on sale for about, I want to say about $10, and it also came with a box cutter. They also have a smaller blade that comes with a multi-tool. That my friend actually purchased that set, and I ended up purchasing this set because I actually needed the box cutter, which I thought wasn't a bad price, $10 for a box cutter and a blade. Now, a couple of things. We're going to talk about the pros and the cons of this knife. If you're somebody who carries knives or like to collect knives, or if you're somebody who's just looking for a decent quality blade to carry around, hopefully this review will help you. And if you like the review, please hit the like button. Also, please subscribe, because I will be doing more reviews on more tools, mainly Kobalt, because I tend to gravitate towards Kobalt tools because of their quality. But there are a lot of other good quality products out there that that I do purchase besides Kobalt. But let's get here to the review. So, first thing about this particular blade, let's go over the dimensions of the blade, which is one of the most important things to some people, is the size of the actual blade itself. So as you can see, that this blade is almost about 3.5 inches. More like probably a little more than 3.25. The actual handle of this particular knife, it is about, let's see what we got here for the handle. It's probably a little more, about 4.5 inches. Probably the actual part that you're actually going to hold on to is probably about 4 inches. Now, one of the pros to this particular blade that I noticed when I've been using it is the grip on it. I actually like this grip a lot. Actually has a really nice grip on it. Now, I'm a machinist by trade, so I carry this knife around for me. I carry it around on my pocket at work, and I have a lot of grease and oil and things like that on my hands sometimes. So when I grab a knife to use it to, say, open up a box or cut a strap or something like that that's on something, when you have a very slick knife, for example, this Homeland Security knife that I have, you can see right here that it's very slick right there at the top and on the sides, which when you're gripping it, sometimes you have oil or grease in your hands, it tends to want to make you want to slip a little bit, which I don't really care for that too much, because it's kind of like a safety issue also. But this is still a very good quality knife. If you're in the market for a very sturdy blade, this is actually a very good knife. I've had this blade for probably about, I don't know, probably about 10 years now. As far as going back to the Kobalt blade, now another good quality about this blade that I like is that it has a very nice clip on the back. If you're somebody who carries a lot of knives or purchases a lot of pocket knives in your lifetime, you'll know one of the first things that aggravate the hell out of you is when this clip that goes to your pocket or your belt, when it becomes loose and it becomes very flimsy, and it just becomes very loose, more or less, and you got to keep tightening that screw. Now, this particular blade, if you can see right there in the video, I'm trying to focus it in for you guys. It has a little wraparound notch that actually goes into the handle, and I believe that is to give it some rigidity, so that the handle or the actual clip will actually stay more secure longer. I'm sure with time and more use, it will become loose. With the actual clip itself, one of the things that I like a lot is, if you can look right here, let me flip it around, you can see it has a little indentation right here. Now this little indentation right here is almost like it creates like a pinch point. So when you put it in your pocket or on your belt clip, it's a pinch point so that your actual knife itself does not slide out of your pocket or slide off your belt clip. It's actually a very good idea, and it's very well made. This is one of the things I've noticed about it, is that when you're trying to remove it from your pocket, you actually have to give it a good tug. I mean, it's not like extremely tight to where it's irritating, but you do have to give it a good little tug to get it off, which is great. I like that a lot. Some people may not. Some people, may want to just remove it altogether. But I actually like that a lot, because when you're walking around or doing things, or if you're, say, hiking or whatever, you don't want your blade to come off your pocket and you lose it in the woods or whatnot. So this is actually a very good, nice feature that it actually has on it. Another point that I want to point out is that when you have a knife, one of the first things on a blade that typically goes out, besides the actual clip, is this hinge point. That's always going to be the weakest point of any knife, is the hinge point. Whenever, if you try to use it to, say, open up a, I mean, I don't really use my blades to open up a paint can, but I have in the past, or do different things to try to pry something open or loose. This hinge point right here becomes very flimsy. And then your blade starts to wobble a little bit, and then you have to tighten up any screws in there to actually tighten the blade back down. This particular blade, I would say that it's not extremely rigid, but it's not extremely loose. I would say it's in the mid-range of most typical blades that you would purchase. So normal is what I would give it. The blade actually comes extremely sharp, so when you purchase it, you will not have to sharpen this blade. It is extremely sharp right out the box. Now, let's go to some of the negatives about this particular knife. And when I say the negatives of this particular knife, and it really hurts me to say negative about anything that's made out of Kobalt, but if there is a negative, I will be honest with you on my channel. I will be telling you the truth about it. I'm not somebody who's like, you know, you got your Glock boys or your 1911 guys, and they always, you know, who got the best gun and why, and they can't say nothing negative about the Glock or nothing negative about the 1911s. This is not one of those channels. I will give you my honest opinion. Even though I love Kobalt products, one of the negatives I see already is that it's going to be very hard to tell in this video, but these recess screws, if you ever have to take apart your knife to clean inside of it or to tighten it up or to do whatever you need to do inside of it, these screws right here are not very deep, and I do not like that. Because what that's going to do is, if you ever have to change it out or do anything to it, you're going to run the risk of stripping it, because you don't have enough recess inside of this pocket right here to actually get a good grip. I'm sure you can take it out just fine, but if you do it, you know, several times trying to change it out, you will eventually strip these screws, and I do not like that. On the Homeland Security knife that I have, these screws are actually fairly deep. They actually are so deep that I've had this knife for, like I said, about 10, 11 years now. They're actually so deep that actually it gets crud in them, which is not a big deal. You can just pick it out or whatever. But I've taken this apart several times, and you know, you can put them back in and you don't have to worry about stripping it. With this Kobalt knife, that will be an issue. I can tell you that right now. One of the other negatives that I see about this particular blade that I've been using is, if you notice, it has a thumb notch to where you can actually fling it open with your thumb like typical knives. But here's the problem. It won't open until you press the button. But it's not spring loaded. So pressing the button does not open it. So you actually have to hold the button and then flick it open. Boy, that's kind of hard to do with one hand. You see what I'm saying here? You can't hold the button and flick it open at the same time. So that's an issue that I do not like. I do not understand why Kobalt decided to put a button on here if you cannot flick it open with one hand. That's one of the qualities I think most people who purchase blades, you know, like, is, you know, a good blade you can flick open with one hand in case you have something in your other hand. But I will give them points on the fact that when you hold the button, it does fling open fairly easily. Now, in the position that I'm actually sitting in, I'm at my workbench downstairs, and it's going to be kind of hard to do in this angle, but it does flick open fairly easily. So it does flick open. Like I said, the position that I'm in, it's hard to show you on this video, but you have to take my word on that it does actually flip open fairly easy. So it's not an issue. But I'm just saying that if you're somebody who wants a blade that you can actually use with one hand, and maybe don't like to do that fling motion, you know, it may or may not be the blade for you. Another thing about this particular blade is that this is not a blade for hunting. It's not a blade for camping. This is a everyday carry, walk around, put it in your pocket, maybe use it at work a couple of times. It's not a blade that you would use to actually, you know, I wouldn't use it as a survival knife. This is not that knife. I'm going to tell you that right now. Kobalt actually makes a smaller knife just like this that comes with the multi-tool. This one came, like I said before, with a box cutter. But for more of a, if I was going camping, I would probably use this particular blade that I have from the Homeland Security blade, or from the Smith & Wesson Homeland Security. It's very rigid and it's very thick, as you can tell. Now, by comparison, you can see that when you get down towards the end of it, they're probably about the same roughly. Maybe this one's a little bit thinner, but back towards the back part right here is very rigid and very thick, and that's what you want in a good blade. The thicker it is, the more heavier your blade is going to be, or your pocket knife rather. But this Homeland Security, like I said, I've had this knife for about 11 years, and it's just an awesome knife. And I still carry it to this day. Even though I purchased this knife, I will still carry this, just depending on what I'm doing and where I'm going. Another negative that I'm really upset with Kobalt about is Kobalt. If you like Kobalt tools and you purchase Kobalt tools, one of the things you'll notice is, like I've said before in some of the other videos, Kobalt does not invent anything. What they do is they take a product that already exists and they make it better, and they make it fit in your hand better, or they give you better qualities of the actual product itself. They don't invent anything. So one of the things I was kind of upset about was I felt like this knife was kind of basic, which is okay, but as from a person who loves Kobalt, I expected a little bit more. One of the things, for an example, I call this like a little saw. That's why I call it, like a little saw, whatever, on the bottom of your blade. There's no reason why they could not have done that with this particular blade. Even made this blade a little bit bigger if needed. And to add that little saw, that's just a good little quality to have on a blade. So that's one of the things one of the negatives. Another thing that I felt like Kobalt really missed the mark on was back here in this handle. Let me show you the box cutter that came with it, which I will be doing another review on this box cutter for different purposes for several different box cutters I have by Kobalt. But you see, they actually have a razor blade down here in the back of the handle. Now, there is no reason why Kobalt, somebody should have thought of that and just put a razor blade back here in the back of the handle. There's no reason why they couldn't have done that. I think that would have made this knife, it would have gave it that extra little pop, that extra little, like, wow, that's kind of like worth my money, you know, feature. Another little feature, rather, I'll say, that they should have done. But all in all, it is a good quality knife. It is something, like I said, it's an everyday carry. It's not a hunting knife or anything like that, but it is a good quality knife. Like I said again, if you want to purchase this knife from Lowe's, it was around about 10 bucks, and it does come in a set with the box cutter, or you can purchase a smaller blade with the multi-tool. But if you have any questions or anything like that, and you would like to shoot me a comment at the bottom of the video, please, by all means, go ahead. I will try to respond as quickly as possible. But all in all, like I said, this is a good product. So far, I've enjoyed using it, and hopefully, if you purchase this, you will enjoy using it too. Other than that, y'all have a great day.